We start with Jadeveon Clowney, still a free agent, and he's been linked to a couple different teams over the months here. Seattle, Tennessee, the Browns as well. But a new team's reportedly emerging, entering the fray. How about this? According to reports, John Gruden wants Clowney bad, but GM Mike Mayock isn't willing to bet the farm, so the team's offered to the former number one overall pick is apparently lower than the others. In or out, the Raiders would be serious contenders in the AFC if they had Clowney. What do you got?
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to say no, because in the AFC, you saw the Kansas City Chiefs, man. And so, yeah, they'd be good contenders. But they'd be the second tier, right? It's still going to be the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. Who knows if Big Ben is healthy? If he's actually healthy when the season starts? The Steelers, who have built a defense with that Minka Fitzpatrick trade and other draft choices and maturations over the last couple of years into one of those profoundly good, historically good Steelers defenses. So there's some challenges to that. Jadeveon Clowney will be a difference maker, of course, but I think there's still a few too many holes in Oakland for them to just sign one player and all of a sudden be at the top of the heap.
I really like the Raiders. Every time this comes up, I give them a lot more love than Tiki, and I'm going to give them a lot more love here. My answer is inbounds. Now, I think you get a little sub-package with Mariota that keeps things fresh and gets a few first downs and a couple of trick plays, blah, blah, blah. Excuse me. You know that Josh Jacobs can run. You got a pretty good tight end in Walder. You have a good offensive line. You got Renfro as a slot guy. You got Ruggs who's burning, so you got Tyrell Williams. There's talent here. And Clowney on that defensive side of the ball. Abraham's the safety. Abraham will come back to safety. Got hurt during Hard Knocks. Remember that? I think that because they're going to score points, they could score a lot, and they could jump on you early. And if you allow Clowney, though he's not a conventional pin your earbacks and get 20 sack kind of a guy, but if you throw him in creative spots and the Raiders have some leads, then, you can really do some interesting creative things defensively with the pass rush. I say inbounds. I disagree. I think the Raiders would be in the mix. All right, the Yankees and their late owner, George Steinbrenner, rest in peace, George, instituted a policy that still stands today where players can't have any facial hair other than a regular mustache or long hair below the collar. Remember Mattingly with the Simpsons episode? They torched my boy Donnie with that. Ridiculous. Now, while the policy hasn't impacted the team's success on the field, as we know, former Yankee Andrew McCutchen discussed how the policy hurts players' individuality. The Yankees should change the policy and allow players to express themselves with long hair and facial hair.
Can I do like a halfway answer here, BT? Because I want to say inbounds to this. They do need to let guys have some individuality with how they look. And just think if a guy had dreadlocks and it was part of his culture, or a guy just has issues with his face and wants to grow a tight beard, but not necessarily a big shaggy one. So I'm going to say yes. Because I think in some ways it's defining, the appearance of guys, especially how they, grow their hair or grow facial hair.
Yep.
But I also don't want to see the Yankees, who are so storied, turn into, this unseemly, unsightly, unkempt, type of team, because I think that's part of their appeal as well. So I'm going to say inbounds, but I'm not harshly inbounds.
I hear you. I'm going to say out of bounds, but not harshly out of bounds. And I know that you couldn't do this because it wouldn't be fair, but what would be a good solution, even if it's only temporary? Like, if you decide to sign a free agent contract, like Garrett Cole knew what he signed up for. You get the $300 million. You got to trim the hair a little bit. If you have to do something with the facial hair, that's fine. But if you get traded to the Yankees and it's out of your control, right? I would like to see, like, for the remainder of that season, not that you hit pause on a policy, but that player,
I know what you're saying, though.
could almost, like, if he's coming from the Phillies or coming from the Pirates, and he's coming with dreads or he's coming with a big-time beard, whatever it might be, I would almost like to see some common middle ground, because he went there and it wasn't under his own volition. But if you sign there as a free agent, you know the rules in advance. Right. You can't have it that way because other guys wouldn't view it as equitable. I see what he's saying. I hear him and I feel him, but I'm going to say out of bounds on this. But I get it. And the NHL quietly working under the radar, reportedly agreeing to start on August 1st. Nothing like hockey in August, huh? In the process, the league also ironed out a new CBA, which wasn't set to expire for another 2 seasons, so very proactive there, extending the offer through 2025-26 and allowing players to participate in the next 2 Winter Olympics. So here it is. It is actually better for leagues to have contentious public labor disputes rather than quiet, prolonged labor peace.
I'm kind of agnostic on this question. I'm going to say out of bounds because I think it just leads to negativity around owners or players. And again, that's fleeting when it's public, that is. I'm going to say out of bounds. It doesn't need to be public, but when it's fleeting. Like, you get mad at the owners, you get mad at the players, and as long as there's not an actual work stoppage, the fan doesn't really care. And I think if it gets too public, as we've seen with Major League Baseball and their restart plan, it sows distrust. So I'm going to say it's not better for them to be outward and contentious in public.
I'm going to say out of bounds too. I think what Mike was kind of fishing for was the PR. The emergence of a daily conversation. Like, you know, hockey was sold behind the scenes, behind the curtain. They got this done peacefully. There was no acrimony. Not that we'd be discussing it daily anyway, because it's hockey, and it's low on the totem pole on this show and most major shows, with all due respect. But like the baseball acrimony that plays out with this football, basketball, that's different. So maybe the NHL would have received a little pop here, but not enough to justify any contentious infiltration that may have had a lasting effect. So I get the question, I get the angle, but I'm going to say out of bounds on that as well.
Tune in next time for another edition of Inbounds or Out of Bounds with Tiki and Tierney.